The NFL draft is quickly approaching, and it is like 3 consecutive Christmas mornings for NFL fans. And guys, I'm a 39-year-old Kansas City Chiefs fan who has been a draftnik since my early middle school days. So, just like you, I know what it's like to wake up on that Christmas morning and have lumps of coal hand delivered by an NFL front office. But since Brett Veach has been the general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs, things have been quite a bit better. Welcome to the Scrambling Armchair, Chiefs news, analysis, and opinion every day. In an article titled 2025 NFL Draft Worst Case Scenarios for all 32 teams, we get to ask the question, what if? What if things don't go as well as we would hope? Now, I want to take a moment before getting into this to apologize. I was planning on having a full length with 5 UDFA mock draft for today, but I am a little bit under the weather, guys, I believe, and I just don't have the energy for it. I was hoping to have a second video for today as well. I don't think that's going to happen, but let's get into this instead. Kansas City Chiefs, worst case scenario for the NFL draft, bypassing interior defensive line. The left side of the Chiefs' offensive line will remain in the limelight until draft weekend, even after signing Jalen Moore. What Kansas City elects to do there following free agency will be key, but its interior defensive line is also in a questionable state. Chris Jones remains one of the NFL's best overall defensive players, but Tershawn Wharton's 42 pressures and 514 pass rush snaps were the third most on the team in 2024. New acquisition Jerry Tillery, 54.0 PFF pass rushing grades last year, doesn't profile as a legitimate replacement. In a class with worthwhile interior options well into the third round, General Manager Brett Veach should follow his tried-and-true formula once more at the position. Well, it's kind of funny you say that, tried-and-true formula at the position, because if there's one position Brett Veach has not gotten right a single time, it might be defensive tackle. Remember, Tershawn Wharton was UDFA. Chris Jones preceded Brett Veach at the defensive tackle position. And then they go ahead and they list these 4 defensive interior options, which, guys, these aren't even their ranking numbers on them. So and this was an article, I believe, from today. So perhaps they had snapped this from earlier. Mason Graham, who's the 4th overall talent, he's not going to be there. Kenneth Grant, who I'm not sold on, ranked 17th here. I don't know if I believe that at all. I think he benefits greatly from having Mason Graham next to him. Derek Harmon, who is an interesting prospect, would be worth it at the 31 overall position. I don't know if I want to trade up for him or Darius Alexander, but if the 23rd ranked prospect, even though I believe he's like 26th now or something, these rankings are not quite what they are currently. But if Derek Harmon or Darius Alexander are there, I would not argue with those draft picks. I think that Darius Alexander has some upside. He's a little bit older than the prospects that Brett Veach likes to prioritize in the first round. Derek Harmon is an interesting blend of things at the defensive tackle position. I think that he would offer some versatility. I believe Darius Alexander would likely offer some versatility on the outside for the Kansas City Chiefs as well. It just depends on what Spagnuolo wants to do. But I don't think there's any reason to fear that the Kansas City Chiefs will ignore the defensive tackle position and the edge position either in this NFL draft. So I wanted to run down some prospects that are not first-round talents. And one of them is actually a guy who will appear in tomorrow's mock draft. But starting here, 55th overall, Shamar Turner, 22.2 years old. There, now we're talking. 6'4", 300 pounds. Turner played at just about every spot on Texas A&M's defensive line, thanks to his active, violent hands and unwavering effort. He has some length and overall size limitations, but feels like a guy an NFL coaching staff will push for on day 2 of the draft. This is the guy that the Kansas City Chiefs can line up at edge or defensive tackle for Steve Spagnuolo and this defense, and I think he would be a day 1 starter somewhere along that line. I think likely the defensive tackle 2 position. I think that likely he would not start at edge. I think he would be sort of a rotational player at edge. 6'3", listed 290 pounds, 10 and a quarter inch hands, reportedly a 4.8 40-yard dash. We don't have confirmation on that. And 33 and 5/8 inch arms. He is kind of you go back a little bit, and this is what you would call a tweener, right? He's a guy that would not have a spot on the defensive line because he's not tall and fast enough to be an edge. He's also not big and heavy enough to be a defensive tackle. But the way that lines in the NFL are evolving, these guys go just about anywhere. You just want to have him on the field. The next guy here, Omar Norman Lott. Now, I had both Shamar Turner and Omar Norman Lott in a previous mock draft for the Kansas City Chiefs. Omar Norman Lott, 23, a little bit older than Brett Veach likes to prioritize in the first round, but second round, maybe not. 6'3", 315 pounds, or 6'2", 217 pounds, just depends on where you're getting your numbers from. Norman Lott possesses more NFL potential than his snap counts and stats say. Look at his grades and win rates for a clearer picture. He's an athletically gifted, undersized 3 technique who, with better hand usage and pass rush plans, can be a contributing starter. 10 and 3/4 inch hands, 33 and 3/4 inch arms, 80 and 3/8 inch arm wingspan, a 5.05 40-yard dash, a 113 inch broad jump. That is a really good number. He has, and you see that on the field. Not that he's jumping straight forward on the field, but it is an explosive number. 31.5 inch vertical. When you're looking at a guy with 19 reps on the bench press, you're going to need to contribute someplace else, and that explosiveness is where he has it. He is a feisty competitor along the defensive line, a guy that I like a lot. I would feel a whole lot more comfortable with him in the 3rd round because sometimes these guys just don't translate. That's what we saw with Colin Saunders, who I think Omar Norman Lott could be in the NFL, what you thought you were going to get with Colin Saunders. So, yeah, if this were a pick in the 2nd round, that would not bother me. 3rd round, I would really like it. Speaking of 3rd rounder, 71st, so I guess I should have done this. I apologize. Omar Norman Lott is the 61st ranked player. Shamar Turner, 55th ranked player by PFF. Alfred Collins, the 71st ranked player, 23.4 years old. So he is a little bit older, 6'5", 320 pounds, or 6'6", 332 pounds. Just depends on, did he get the 3 S's in the morning? Collins is a long, strong interior defensive lineman with the versatility to play anywhere from 0 technique to 5 technique. His pass rush profile and inability to disengage quickly limits his ceiling, but his versatility and strength give him a high floor. He projects as a rotational player with starting potential. 4.95 40-yard dash is a good number for a guy that's 320 or 332. 34 and 5 inch arms, 10 inch hands, a 26 inch vert, not explosive, 96 inch broad jump, not explosive. And guys, I don't care at all. This is a defensive tackle that you can write home about. And if this were, earlier I talked about different eras of the NFL, right? If this were 2004, 2005, this man is a 1st round draft pick. The game has changed so much, but you still have to have one of these guys on the field at most times. 6'6", 6'5", 6'6", 320, 332, who cares? He is a big guy that can move. He's not explosive, but he can move. And if you were picking him up in the 3rd round, it would be an absolute steal for the Kansas City Chiefs. Joshua Farmer, 79th overall, 6'3", 318 pounds. Farmer is a budding defensive lineman, even as an upperclassman. With some improved anticipation and technique, he can be a starting caliber pass rusher, although he must have a higher floor as a run defender to get on the field consistently. Also listed at 6'3", 305, 35-inch arms. 10 1/4-inch hands, 5'1", 140-yard dash at the combine, 29-inch vert, 112-inch broad jump, 26 reps on the bench press, 177 10-yard split. That's actually, I think, a pretty good number. 82 and 3/4 inch wingspan. He's a guy who is a little bit of an underachiever, turned the corner a little bit as alluded to here. I would be more comfortable because of the uncertainty with Farmer in the 4th round. If you could pick him up in the 5th round, well, we don't have a 5th rounder, but 4th round, that would be a good deal. Jordan Phillips, number 80 overall. And I didn't include all of their defensive interior players inside these rankings. I just included the ones that I kind of know a little bit better, wanted to talk about, guys that I am favorable to. Or guys that are favorable to me, I guess I should say. I don't know if Jordan Phillips likes me or not. 80th ranked overall, 6'3", 320 pounds, 6'2", 312 pounds, depending on where you're getting your numbers. 9 3/4-inch hands, 31.5-inch arms. These are things that make you fall down the draft boards. 8'1", 3-cone drill. 5'1", 40, 31-inch vertical. Those are decent numbers. Phillips is a compact, powerful defensive lineman with less than ideal length, but enough strength to make up for it. He's unlikely to be a regular pass rush contributor. He can serve as a rock-solid interior presence with enough power to contribute to any defensive front. You're looking at a guy that is going to be performing a little bit more like Derek Nottie than other defensive tackles you've had, which Derek Nottie was a 3rd rounder. If you can get Jordan Phillips after the 3rd, if you can get him, really, I think we're likely to see some movement in the Kansas City Chiefs picks during the draft. So while they do not have a 5th rounder right now, I think it's possible they do come the time of the draft. This is a 5th round prospect, if you ask me, but one that I think could come in and get serious reps very early in his rookie season for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then we have the big man, Deone Walker. Absolute massive, 21 years old. This is a Bret Veach priority. Not going to make those jokes. 6'6", 345 pounds, or 6'7", 331 pounds. Just depends on who you're listening to. Walker's measurables will jump out immediately, but his play on the field doesn't match up to the dominance suggested on paper. He looks on the field like when you used to make creative players on NCAA, right? And you would just, I'm just going to make a giant defensive tackle and see how it works. That's Deone Walker. He is a versatile defensive lineman due to his height and length, but he needs more precision in his pass rushes and must hold his ground more consistently to be more than a rotational player. Here's all I will say on that front. You have to block him, right? He does run a 5.28 40-yard dash. That is 16th percentile, but you have to block him. He's 6'6", 350 pounds. You don't want that guy hitting your quarterback. Do you want to block him with your 6'3", 305-pound center? Probably not. So probably you're going to put a center and a guard on him. Well, Chris Jones has entered the chat. Chris Jones, thinks that's a good idea. Take Deone Walker so they have to double team him. Because look, this right here, that's all he has to do. And now your quarterback doesn't have a throwing lane. Because if it were me, I would line him head up on the center. And good luck. Good luck. And then I will have basically 3 guys on one side of the defensive line. I will shift the linebackers the other direction. And now you have a 6'6", 345-pound defensive tackle head up on your center. You have Chris Jones isolated on your offensive guard, and you have George Karlaftis one-on-one with your offensive tackle. Do you want to chip him with the tight end? Okay, take that guy out of a route. That's what I would do with Deone Walker. 10 and 5/8 inch hands, 34.5 inch arms, 84.5 inch wingspan, 5'2", 40-yard dash, 25 inch vertical leap, 104 inch broad jump, and 22 reps on the bench press. I don't care about any of those numbers. This is a massive individual, and it never works out for me when I'm running the mock draft simulators. But to get him, I might start prioritizing him in the third round, at the top of the third round, just to get some different looks, because, man, that would change the complexion of the defense entirely. And yeah. Anyway, guys, that is what I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.